Well, you're not going to believe this development. Something I didn't even know about. I just had a commenter leave this message on my channel that indeed Russia has made a deal with China to create this huge pipeline to go through Mongolia, of all places. And I just did the video 4 months ago about Gog and Magog being Mongolia. And that's a historical record, so it's not something I'm conjuring up or just something I believe, or that's my opinion. It's historical fact, and the Mongolian people believe that they are descended from Magog. 4 months ago, I posted this video, breaking, Magog identified as Mongolia, China the dragon. Now I'm having a very major winter weather advisory right now. It's 13 degrees and it's snowing, and it says on the Weather Channel feels like 1 degree. So I was out there and my car started sliding in several places where I turned the corner, so I came back here and found that comment, and I thought I would do a little research on that topic to add on to what I've already told you about Gog Magog being Mongolia, and that includes the people of Mongolia, the Mongols, the people in Ukraine. Some of the cities are major Mongolian cities. So what's going on right now has everything to do with this, I believe. And then on top of it, and North China and parts of that and parts of North Korea are part of Mongolia as well, including Ukraine. So as I told you in my last video, that the Lord was revealing all these things to me and showing me about President Zelensky, and the city that he grew up in was a major Mongolian city. And then I showed you the little horn on their emblems, their heraldry, their flag, their banner, and also that the horn is called a brand mark, that they have a brand mark, and when you click on that, it says logo and it says mark, imprint. So that it all came together. But now, I just heard that this pipeline is going to go through Mongolia, of all places. This was the comment that I found underneath my video about Magog being Mongolia. This was SOPHIE BERTRAND. Said Mongolia could play a major role in the near future. Putin just signed a big contract with China for an oil pipeline that will surpass in quantity the one basically canceled going to Germany. This pipeline is planned to pass through Mongolia. Big 180-degree change of mind for Putin, now ignoring Europe's needs for oil. So that is something that has just been developing, and after I posted the video, and of course I revealed this about Mongolia 4 months ago in the video, I showed you that Magog and Gog is Mongolia, and that's historical. As I said, I didn't know anything about this pipeline whatsoever going through Mongolia when I gave you that last video about revealing that Mongolia is Magog and Gog. So I looked up a few articles to try to find something on this. This is from interestingengineering.com and was posted in March. Russia is building a massive 50 billion cubic meter gas pipeline to China. Russia gas major Gazprom is pushing ahead to build a 50 billion cubic meter gas pipeline to China amid economic sanctions imposed by Western countries, Business Insider reported. Gas and oil exports made up a major part of Russia's economy, with European countries being major clients. However, in the wake of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, European nations have put economic sanctions in place, such as removing Russian banks from the international payment system, but haven't halted Russian energy imports yet, Business Insider reported. Well, I think that they just did that, actually. Biden is now saying he's not going to import the supplies from Russia. Germany has stalled plans for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that is designed to carry gas into mainland Europe. However, Nord Stream 1, which currently supplies gas to Europe, remains functional. After energy majors such as Shell and BP declared their intentions to divest from Russian energy businesses, Gazprom is looking for avenues to expand its gas supply. And as the world's fastest growing gas market, China is an attractive destination. It also helps that China has refrained from calling Russia's recent military actions an invasion. In 2014, Gazprom had signed a 30-year deal with China to supply 38 billion cubic meters of gas a year. Supplies as part of this deal began in 2019 when the Power of Siberia pipeline was completed, Bloomberg reported. Soyuz Vostok pipeline. Gazprom is now looking to further extend its relationship with China by building the Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline, also called Soyuz Vostok. In a press release, the company said that its chairman, Alexei Miller, had recently met the Deputy Prime Minister of Mongolia, Saynbuyan Armasayhan, to discuss the implementation of the pipeline through Mongolia. Gog and Magog. Can you believe that? During the meeting, a design and survey work contract was signed for the construction of the pipeline that involves Mongolian companies to carry out land and architectural surveys and assess the impact of the project on the environment, the press release said. Last month, the feasibility report of the project was approved, according to which the pipeline would see a 598-mile stretch run through Mongolian territory. The diameter of the pipes used would be 1.42 meters in diameter, or about 56 inches, with 5 compressor stations to be installed along the route to enable 50 billion cubic meters, or 1.8 trillion cubic feet of gas to be sent to China. If the deal with China goes through, Russia will also build an interconnector between its west and eastbound pipelines, paving the way to redirect the gas that is currently being supplied to Europe towards China, thereby reducing its dependence on European imports. Work on the Soyuz Vostok gas pipeline project is actively and successfully progressing a month ago. The results of the feasibility study were approved, and today a design contract has been signed. This means that the project has moved to the practical stage, said Alexei Miller in the press release. I just cannot believe that this has developed into something far more than I ever expected after posting that video. And of course, they've been planning this thing between China and Russia, but I had no idea about Mongolia being involved in this pipeline. And this article in TASS.com says, feasibility study for pipeline to China via Mongolia to be ready in coming weeks. When this article was written, I did not yet know that Mongolia was Gog and Magog. And the Lord was just revealing that to me 4 months ago, and I reported what I had researched and what I found out about it historically, as you saw in my last video. And then now the Lord was showing me things about Vladimir Zelensky and the town that he grew up in being a huge Mongolian city. and all of the things that went along with it. But, you know, this article was written about this, and now it's connecting to this revelation. So this was Moscow, December 16th, 2021. The feasibility study of the gas pipeline from Russia to China via Mongolia will be ready in coming weeks, Russian President Vladimir Putin said after the Russian-Mongolian talks. So they held talks with each other. The project of cross-border pipeline construction over the territory of Mongolia from Russia to China is considered in practice. The work is in progress and it is progressing successfully, Putin said. This gas pipeline can be the extension of the Russia's Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, the head of the state said. The optimal route, length, and other parameters have already been determined. The feasibility study is being prepared. I believe it will be ready in broad terms in weeks to come, Putin noted. The Soyuz Vostok gas pipeline will pass across the territory of Mongolia and will be the extension of the Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline. Its export capacity can be more than 1.3 times above the capacity of the Power of Siberia gas pipeline. Construction work under the project can start in 2024. Now here's another shocking article about this. This one was published January 10th, 2020. The author is Asia Watch. And it says Russia-China gas pipeline may transit through Mongolia. During Mongolian Prime Minister Ugnagin Kurelsuk's visit to Russia on December 5th, Russian energy company Gazprom signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the Mongolian government to assess the feasibility of a natural gas pipeline from Russia to China by way of Mongolia. Magog. Immediately, the Mongolian and Russian governments established a working group to conduct the feasibility study and approve on transit fees. This would be the second pipeline under the $500 billion gas deal between the Chinese and Russian governments to provide natural gas from Siberia to China. The second gas pipeline from Russia to China was initially planned to be built over the narrow Russia-China land border between Mongolia and Kazakhstan, leading to Xinjiang. That plan, however, faced strong opposition by Russia's Altai Republic and the indigenous community of the Yukok Plateau, which is recognized as an UNESCO heritage site. Further dampening the prospects of this route were the costs of constructing a 2,600-kilometer pipeline through this treacherous mountainous region into Xinjiang, which has low local demand for natural gas. Additionally, both China and Russia were concerned about the volatility of the security situation in Xinjiang. The building of the natural gas pipeline through Mongolia would boost trilateral economic relations in several ways. First, it would be a key project for the stalled China-Mongolia-Russia economic corridor, which was touted as one of the 6 economic corridors of the Belt and Road Initiative during Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Mongolia in 2014. Second, the pipeline has been cited as a means to boost Mongolia's overall trade with Russia, especially as Mongolia's economy has been heavily dependent on China since the 1990s, when economic ties with Russia faded. Additional environmental considerations include an expected reduction of urban air pollution from using natural gas. And that article was from asiapacific.org. CA. That's the Asia Pacific Foundation of Canada. Now, do you think there's a reason why Joe Biden and his son were over in Ukraine doing things behind the scenes, and this was going on? Is this all planned? Yes, it is. And is this part of the New Worthless Order plan? Yes, it is. And is this setting up for Gog Magog to take a front row seat? Yes, it is. This says to me that Joe Biden knows exactly what he's doing, working these things to shut down the American pipeline after Trump was out, to take over and shut down that pipeline so that these people could go ahead with this plan that's already in place to where they could become superpowers with the gas pipeline that they've planned through Mongolia. Not only does this mean this is the plan being raised between Gog, Magog, Mongolia, and the Mongolian cities of Ukraine, but also the fact that China, which is part of Mongolia in the northern portion, and North Korea are part of the Mongolian people. All of this is coming together where Gog Magog is rising up, and the dragon, because the dragon gives the Antichrist his power. So all of this is together, and China is the dragon. So we see this just unveiling itself before our eyes like you cannot believe. And now I know for certain that God was really revealing that about Mongolia to me, because I didn't know any of this was behind the scenes the last few years. And, nor did I know that Mongolia was Gog Magog until the Lord started unveiling all that in my last video that I made. And the first one that I made 4 months ago about it. So let's look at this article. This one is from Nikkei Asia, International Relations. China, Russia eye supercharged energy ties as shield against the U.S. Xi and Putin talk signal progress towards second gas pipeline from Siberia. Moscow. Russia and China appear to be making headway toward a new gas pipeline that analysts say would help both countries hedge against growing tensions with the West. On Wednesday, Presidents Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping held a video call in which they presented a united front on issues ranging from the U.S.-led AUKUS partnership, the Biden administration's recent summit of democracies, and NATO's expansion to the east. Yuri Ushakov, Putin's foreign policy advisor, said the leaders also spoke about the Power of Siberia 2 project, a proposed mega pipeline through Mongolia that could deliver up to 50 billion cubic meters of Russian gas to China annually. Just one day later, Putin hosted Mongolian president at the Kremlin to discuss the progress being made on Power of Siberia 2, among other issues. Afterward, the Russian president told reporters that the pipeline's optimal route, length, and other parameters had already been determined, and that its feasibility study would be completed in the next several weeks, which it was. Although Moscow and Beijing still have to agree on pricing for Power of Siberia 2 before construction can begin, industry watchers told Nikkei Asia that the two sides look to be closing in on a deal. They predict that the long-awaited pipeline will not only significantly boost Russian gas exports to China, which has faced severe energy shortages this year, but also reduce Moscow's dependence on European markets and Beijing's reliance on maritime routes controlled by U.S. warships. The advantage is very obvious. Russia has the energy resources and China has the market, said Lin Baoquan, dean of the China Institute for Studies in Energy Policy at Xiamen University. So I think Russia and China will reach a final deal for Power of Siberia 2 sooner than later, and possibly even more projects are coming if Russia can sell more gas. Over the past decade, natural gas has emerged as one of the main areas of economic cooperation between the neighbors. In 2014, Russia's Gazprom and China National Petroleum Corporation signed a $400 billion deal to build the Power of Siberia 1 pipeline, a 2,200-kilometer route connecting northern China with gas fields in eastern Siberia. Now, northern China is part of Mongolia, according to the historical record. The pipeline was launched in late 2019 and is expected to supply China with up to 38 billion cubic meters of gas a year once it reaches full capacity in 2025. Chinese state energy companies and government-backed investment funds have also thrown their weight behind several ambitious Russian projects to extract liquefied natural gas in the Arctic. Since 2013, Chinese investors have acquired a roughly 30% stake in the $27 billion Yamal Ling project and a 20% stake in the $21 billion Arctic Ling project, both of which are spearheaded by Russian gas company Novatek. For years, the two countries have discussed building a second Power of Siberia pipeline, which would more than double Russian gas exports to China, but with little progress. Negotiations initially stalled over Beijing's reservations about Gazprom's preferred route, which proposed delivering gas from western Siberia to China's Xinjiang province across the Altai Mountains. In late 2019, Gazprom relented and agreed to pursue an alternative route favored by Beijing. This would transport the gas directly to densely populated regions of central China through Mongolia. So now you know why you've seen Xi Jinping shaking hands with Vladimir Putin, because they've been making all of these deals behind the scenes to create this monstrous gas pipeline through Mongolia. Gog and Magog, with the dragon at the head of it. Unbelievable. Since then, the Russian state gas conglomerate has moved to finalize a deal with Ulaanbaatar for the Mongolian portion of Power of Siberia 2, known as the Soyuz Vostok pipeline. Remember in my last video where I was revealing that Mongolia was Gog and Magog, that the city where Volodymyr Zelensky grew up is very near this Mongolian town that I just mentioned, Ulaanbaatar. So it was saying there that the Russian state gas conglomerate had moved to finalize the deal with Ulaanbaatar for the Mongolian portion of the Power of Siberia 2. And that's near the town where Volodymyr Zelensky grew up in Ukraine. During the first 4 months of this year, Gazprom registered a subsidiary company to Mongolia and launched a feasibility study for the project, which we heard about in the other articles I read. In late October, Gazprom and the Mongolian government announced they had reached an agreement on the exact route for Soyuz Vostok. Mongolian Deputy Prime Minister Sambuyan Amasaghan told reporters in November that he expected construction on the pipeline would likely begin in 2024 after 2 years of design and preparation work. Joe Biden had to know this. He had to know this before this war started. He had to know this when he shut down the pipeline that Trump had going here in the United States. What does that tell you about him? Alexander Gabyev, a senior fellow at the Carnegie Moscow Center, told Nikkei that the recent moves with Mongolia indicated that talks between Russia and China on Power of Siberia 2 were likely in an advanced stage, since a pipeline just to Mongolia made little commercial sense for Gazprom. There is more than pure economics behind Russia's desire to strike a deal. Gabuev noted that unlike Gazprom's previous gas pipeline to China, Power of Siberia 2 would draw on the very same gas fields the company uses to supply the European market. Making Power of Siberia 2 a reality would therefore provide Gazprom with additional leverage when talking with European customers, particularly at a time of heightened tension between Russia and the West, he added. Once the deal is signed, Russia will have an alternative route to ship its gas, Gabuev said, and while China will not replace all deliveries to the European market, it can take care of a significant chunk, at least 1/3. The question of leverage has become especially relevant in Moscow in recent months amid a renewed standoff over Ukraine. This month, the new government in Berlin warned that it would block Russia's long-awaited Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline to Germany from coming into service if there's any new escalation by the Kremlin in Ukraine, which has been done. Meanwhile, China is shifting to natural gas as part of an ambitious drive to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. China's annual gas consumption is expected to reach 620 billion cubic meters by 2040 and overtake oil as the leading fuel source by 2050, according to data made public in September by Sinopec, one of the country's largest energy companies. Lin of Xiamen University explained that gas would be an effective bridge fuel between coal and renewables for China. But like Russia, China also has geopolitical incentives for pursuing Power of Siberia 2. For the better part of the last 2 decades, Chinese strategists have warned that the country's heavy reliance on maritime imports of energy resources made it vulnerable to a potential blockade by the United States Navy. Those concerns have only grown as both the Trump and Biden administrations hardened Washington's stance towards Beijing. According to Lin, one way China can mitigate that risk is getting more of its oil and gas from Russian pipelines. The fact that Russia and China have a common border provides a more secure route for transporting gas than by sea, Lin said. Still, some in Moscow warned that the Power of Siberia 2 could bring risk along with rewards. Gabuev argued that one potential downside is that it could make Russia overly dependent on China as a gas customer, a problem that is likely to get worse if relations between the Kremlin and the West continue to deteriorate. The payback period for such a complex and expensive project is 20 to 30 years. A lot of things can happen between now and 2050, so tying yourself up to this one customer with this pipeline could be pretty risky, he said, especially since over time global energy market shifts are likely to strengthen China's leverage, but not Russia's. Now, this is very interesting, and this is what I'm going to close with on this video. Coronavirus gives Russia-China gas pipeline plan a burst of energy. Beijing-Washington rift helps Moscow make case for Power of Siberia sequel. Gazprom is aiming to follow up on its Power of Siberia pipeline, switched on in December with an even bigger project. And that was reported May 27th, 2020. But at that time, nobody knew that Mongolia was Gog and Magog. That's just been revealed, that I revealed it 4 months ago. Moscow, Russia's plans for a second gas pipeline to China are gaining momentum despite the coronavirus pandemic, or some experts argue that it's gaining momentum because of it. New worthless order at work during the planned demic. We have the beast system, we have the Antichrist, who was given his power by the dragon, that's China. We have Mongolia revealed historically as Gog, Magog, and descendants of Magog from Genesis. And we have this part of Ukraine that's got the Mongolian cities. And then you've got Russia involved, connecting with the pipeline through Mongolia. So if you don't think all of this was already pre-planned out before this war, you've got another thing coming. This whole thing is planned out. And any civilians getting in the way are just fodder for the wolves in their eyes. They don't care about the children. They don't care about the women. They don't care about innocent civilians being killed in the way, in their way. And this whole thing is despicable. And to know that Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden, had dealings in Ukraine, must know that that they're part of this network of deception. And plus the fact that, we had the vice president come out and say we should all have electric cars since the huge increase of gas prices. I paid last Thursday, I think it was $3.69 for gas, and it jumped up a huge amount on Monday. Now, I know this isn't high according to California, but it is high according to our state in Colorado, that the gas price jumped for mid-grade to $4.29.9 and for premium $4.59.9. So it jumped from, it was about $3.69, and then of course I got a few cents off for discount through the grocery store. So that's an outrageous leap of the gas prices, all to make us all not put the carbons in the air. Now remember, I told you the mask wearing, that whole thing was to make you breathe in your own carbons so you didn't emit them in the air. They don't want people to travel, so they shut down people, they locked people down so they could not travel. They don't want the carbons going to the air from you traveling, flying, taking trains and buses and all that. They wanted to lock you down. They wanted you to breathe your own carbons in so you don't emit this stuff in the air. And now they want to take away your gasoline. And we've seen how they threatened people by taking away their credit cards, their bank accounts, their food supply, their traveling ability. And so they think they're all powerful. But I'm here to tell you, there's a God who is all powerful, who sees what they are doing. And his judgment is on its way. And his judgment is going to be severe. And when you're thrown into a lake of fire burning with sulfur, what you gave people masks to wear, and little children and babies and toddlers, which is just sick, where they couldn't breathe, God is going to throw them into the lake of fire where the sulfur is so strong it'll choke their windpipe so they cannot breathe. What an appropriate judgment for these people. And believe me, it's going to be bad, and it's a horrible thing to fall under the wrath of God. So give your life to Jesus Christ, the Messiah of Israel, the one who redeemed you by his blood on the cross as the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Turn your heart to him and commit your life to him and accept the bride's price that he paid to buy and redeem us back as the bridegroom, to enter into the Garden of Eden-like state as it was in the beginning in Genesis, that the Lord came to reverse the curse of the Garden of Eden and destroy death in the end and let us live forever with him. Only God could have revealed these things, and this progression into this huge gas pipeline that's going through Mongolia of all places is just astounding to me. And this proves to me that this is part of the end time scenario unfolding before our eyes. And you've seen it with your own eyes unfold before your eyes. You know, revealing that about Mongolia just, 4 months ago, and then I did an update and showing you some of these cities in Ukraine are Mongolian cities. It shows everything about what's happening in reality now. And I hope this opened your eyes, and I hope you found this valuable. God bless you, and let's just stay strong in the Lord. And I just pray God's blessing over each and every one of you. And I will get back with you if some more happens and do some more videos when I can here. Thank you for your support. God bless, and I'll talk to you later.